Me.
All right.
Okay, I'm here to bring a lightning talk. So that means you guys got to be the thunder. What kind of noise does thunder make? Let's hear it. Where's the thunder? Oh, we got some thunder. Thank you for having me. Let's cue up the slides. I'm here to tell you why the collaborative economy changes commerce and marketing, and maybe not in a good way. And I'm about to tell you 3 things. The first thing I'm going to tell you, that it's invading all aspects of our life and business. The second thing I'm going to tell you is what's causing it. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is how fast it's growing. These graphics and the slides, there's only 2. I just tweeted out a URL. You can download them on SlideShare at no cost. Let's take a look. The collaborative economy. One great way to show how this new economy is emerging is to look at a honeycomb. And a honeycomb is a resilient and an efficient structure in nature, so it best represents what's happening in this peer-to-peer commerce world. Let me take you on a tour. Starting in the orange hexagon, let's take a look at goods. There's 3 things happening here. The first one is people are sharing goods that they already own and using sites like Yerdle and all things that we know about like in eBay. And they're sharing what they already have instead of buying them from marketers. Secondly, we're seeing new kinds of on-demand business models. For example, my children's Legos are rented. Why own them? She's going to grow out of them. We're renting them on Play. And the third thing that we're seeing is the maker movement, where people are creating their own goods instead of buying them from marketers. 3D printers, Tech Shop, and Etsy are all examples of crowd-based business models that create their own goods instead of buying them from marketers. Now that's goods, and we've heard about eBay and Craigslist for over 15 years. The next sector is food. Take a look at that green hex. We're seeing 2 things happening. One is shared food preparation is happening. Startups like Blue Apron or new forms like Munchery are emerging where they're sending new types of food to your home or on demand. You don't have to prepare it. It's shared in a shared kitchen somewhere else. And secondly, we're seeing that people are turning their own home kitchens into restaurants instead of going to traditional restaurants. Cookening.com and Feastly enable people to turn their own homes into restaurants, and they invite strangers over to eat instead of going to that local store. The food space is quickly changing. What about in services? That's the blue hexagon. And there's 2 breakpoints there. There's personal services and business services. Certainly, we've heard of TaskRabbit, but there's personal services for just about everything. I recently learned about the startup called Ease, which is marijuana on demand. We've also seen bodyguards on demand, massages on demand. My own virtual assistant is from Zirtual. She does all my executive and scheduling, and it makes it very easy for me to tap personal services. On the business side, you probably heard of Elance or Odesk, where you can tap a workforce of workers instead of going to a traditional management company. But we're seeing a wide range of new types of services emerge in these marketplaces. For example, if you need a PR person on demand, you can go to airpr.com. It's like TaskRabbit for PR pros. If you need a community manager just for a few months or just for a few hours a week, you could go to cloudpeeps.com and get a community manager on demand. We're seeing personal services and business services emerge in every single category, so you don't have to hire full-time workers or hire traditional agencies or consulting firms. Services is being disrupted. What about transportation? I'd like to see a show of hands. Has anybody used an Uber, Lyft, Sidecar, or BlaBlaCar in the last week? Raise your hands. Okay, so basically nobody. Actually, there's almost every single hand I saw come up. Now, to break it down, we're seeing 2 distinct business models. The first one is in shared transportation vehicles, like car sharing peer-to-peer, and also boat and even airplane sharing. And then we're seeing rides as a service emerge, where people will drive you to your destination. Both Uber Lyft, and Sidecar all announced today they have a new carpooling feature similar to BlaBlaCar today. So we're seeing lots of rapid movements in this space. Let's take a look at space, that green hexagon. Personal space. I know we've all heard about Airbnb, but now we're seeing startups like Roost emerge, where people are sharing their closets or garages with extra space. So personal space can be shared across all parts of our home. And on the business front, you don't need to have a very expensive lease. Renting a business here in San Francisco, an office building, is very expensive. You can just get a spot on demand with on-demand workplaces, and even co-working spots. Space is being democratized and changing the landscape of real estate business as we know it. And the last hex here is the one around money. And we're seeing three things happening here. The first one is peer-to-peer lending. LendingClub.com was launched around 2008 at the trough of the recession. What happened in 2008? People were furious at banks. They said, down with the 1%, let's occupy them up with the 99%. And what Lending Club does is it enables people to lend money to each other peer-to-peer rather than going to the bank. It's worth noting that their biggest investor is Google, and they're backing this space. Lending Club has done over $5 billion of loans since 2008. It has a hockey stick growth. Next is crowdfunding. You've heard of Indiegogo, Kickstarter. Let's talk about Kickstarter. Has anybody owned a Pebble watch, that smart watch? A few hands? It's amazing to find out that the Pebble watch actually emerged here before Apple took it to market. The crowd beat Apple to market. And the last aspect of money is cryptocurrencies. The crowd is creating their own currencies. So I just took you on a tour, and in the next honeycomb, I'm adding in new hexes, education, utilities, and even health. People are getting what they need from each other rather than buying it from the marketers in this room. You must pay attention to this market. Now, what's causing this? Let's do the second part of this discussion. Three things. There's societal reasons, a focus on sustainability, increase in population density, or the fact that the first generation that was born with the internet in their hands is now hitting the workforce, the millennials. They were born sharing media and pictures of themselves, and now they're sharing the physical world. Next is the economic triggers. Now we can make money from our assets around us. The recession didn't help either. And we're seeing people, the rise of the micro-entrepreneur or the freelance economy. We can live in this economy and not have to have a traditional boring job in a cube. And the third reason why this is happening, and all these lists are on the top right of that graphic, is the technology enablers. Mobile, social, Internet of Things, apps. And the last thing I want to share is the VCs have invested an incredible amount of money. In the last 7 months, there's been $2.5 billion put into this market. The average funding per month is $330 million per month. That's just this year. The leading investor is Google. So let's look at the last slide. I'm here to tell you that it's growing very quickly. I conducted research with my partners, Vision Critical, a research firm in Vancouver, and we surveyed 90,000 18 and older online adults in US, UK, and Canada. And we asked them about their adoption of these services. And you can see them listed out here. Food's not listed, it was too early. Now, the eBay and Craigslist behavior is dominant and mature. It's in the 30% range, and those are the dark bars that you see. But across the new services around the honeycomb, food, service, space, transportation, the average adoption rate last year in 2013 is 5 to 7%. Last year, it was 5 to 7%. I'm a former Forrester industry analyst, so research is my backbone. I was a founding partner at Altimeter Group. And we also use the same methodology to ask these respondents, what is your adoption in this coming year? And they said across the board in these new services, it's going to double. We are at the start of a brand new market of peer-to-peer commerce. I came here to tell you the collaborative economy is impacting marketing and sales. People are getting what they need from each other in all aspects of their life. There are major things causing it to happen: societal, economic, and technology, which means it's not going away. And 3, it's rapidly growing. Welcome to the collaborative economy. Thank you.